How to use appropriate academic language in research papers.
By on June 22, 2021, Ria Jain and Priya Chetty. Many enter academic writing due to a passion for knowledge or to conduct independent research. Impactful writing in the academic world requires communicating ideas by using appropriate academic language, clarity, and grace. Most forms of writing such as email, texting, letters, etc. make use of informal language. Academic and scientific writing, however, requires the use of appropriate academic language. A good flow of writing leaves a lasting impression on the readers. Thus, it is essential to convey information and views concisely and clearly. This article offers insights on how to improve academic language in a paper. Bloated language is not academic language. This misconception among writers is that supplementary words or sentences add more smartness and show in-depth knowledge about the subject. However, this unnecessary fluffing of words frustrates the reader and makes the content unnecessarily complex. A good academic paper is clear and concise. Wastage of words and repetition are avoided as many journals regulate a word limit. Some examples showing the difference between bloated and concise sentences are shown below. Bloated sentence, reduced sentence. A social media influencer is an influencer who helps to integrate the credibility. Social media influencers are users of social media who use their credibility. Bloated sentence, reduced sentence. Of a specific industry in order to increase the rate of the audience who are active on distinctive social networking websites. To increase engagement for a specific product service. In the novel, A Farewell to Arms, written by Ernest Hemingway, the author presented a courageous theme. This theme displays honorable courage and difficult war in every instance. Ernest Hemingway's novel, A Farewell to Arms, features characters enduring difficult wars and displaying honorable courage. Table 1. Reduction of bloated language. Get rid of redundant or wordy phrases. In the English language, there is the presence of many phrases that have multiple words. Although a writer needs to be cognizant of wordiness, a fine line exists between rambling and expressing. Therefore, the use of these phrases must be avoided if they can be expressed in lesser words. For example, redundant words, effective words. In the event that, if, pandemic times, pandemic. Redundant words, effective words. A majority of, most. Due to the fact that, because, since, subsequent to, after. Have the capability to, can. A lot of job cuts. Considerable downsizing. With regard to, concerning, about. Keeping the workplace retained in the organization. Retain employees. Most specimens were blue in color. Most specimens were blue. Roots penetrate into the soil to a depth of 5 meters. Roots penetrate. Table 2. Reduction of redundant phrases. Even, the word, etc., should not be paired with, including, such as, or. For example, because these words specifically mean that list is indicative and not exhaustive. Everyday spoken language is not an academic language. Use appropriate academic language that is organized and logical and avoids a detached tone. Usually, writers adapt to everyday spoken language, but the use of casual language should be avoided. Casual language. Formal words. Mellow and good, mild-mannered and kind, get to her. Affect her spirit. Current and most suitable, efficient, effective. A lot of, enhanced, numerous, higher. Get in touch with, contact. Give the go-ahead, authorize, authorize. The person is addicted to work, workaholic. Disgusting. Unpleasant. Table 3. Reduction of everyday speech language to formal. Use varying sentence structure. Sentence structure represents the physical structure of a sentence. For making an impactful research paper, it is important to use variegated words but avoid their overuse. Furthermore, repeating longer sentences may overshadow the argument and inundate the reader. Even frequent usage of short sentences makes arguments stunted or rushed. Therefore, try to keep the length of sentences short and up to 20 words. Inappropriate sentence, varying sentence. In actual fact, every single nurse in the hospital worked for treating their patients from 3 a.m. in the morning to 12 at the night. Every nurse in the hospital worked from 3 a.m. to midnight. Inappropriate sentence, varying sentence. The mean age value for Group A is 30 years while for Group B mean age is 26 years. Thus, there is a presence of a statistically significant difference between both groups. With the mean age of Group A greater than Group B, there is a significant difference between both groups. Table 4. Using varying sentence structure. Use sufficient referencing and citation. Academic papers to a great extent rely on the review of existing information in the form of secondary research. When reviewing secondary studies, references must be provided. It helps to establish the validity and credibility of the information. Although there is no standard rule for the number of references to use in a study, as a hand rule consider an average of 1 reference per 100 to 150 words. Example. Today, a vast number of elements contribute towards creating work-life balance in employees. The findings of Yadav and Dabade 2014 identified rewards, mentally challenging work, favorable working conditions, supportive coworkers, and employee-friendly policies as some of the factors leading to work-life balance and job satisfaction. Kshetra, Kumar, and Renuka 2016 also identified some of the factors that impact work-life balance. The study collected data from 60 respondents and applied descriptive statistics and analysis of variance ANOVA technique for analyzing the data. It was found that over time, meetings, traveling to work, and training after working hours influence the work-life balance of the employees. Sharma and Shekhawat, 2017, assessed the association between employee performance and work-life balance in the hotel industry of Rajasthan in India. The main aim of their analysis was to determine the factors affecting the work-life balance of the employees. Refer to the right sources of secondary information. The type of secondary sources referred to while writing greatly affects the quality of the paper. For example, if you refer more to blogs and web pages, then your content is likely to be ambiguous. This is because web pages are written to target the masses. For example, Figure 1. Use of casual language in a blog article which makes academic content less impactful. The above figure shows that the flow of sentences is informal with the usage of first-person pronouns and the exclusion of references to validate the information. Thus, this article is less suitable for academic writing, whereas the below study is a more suitable source of information. On the other hand, referring to more academic sources such as journal papers and books, academic journals are more structured and precise with clear content. It is likely to make your content more technically sound with less redundant information. Figure 2. The presence of refined language in journal articles helps produce better quality content. Importance of grammar check in academic language. Making grammatical mistakes while writing is common but avoidable. Eliminating grammatical errors improves the quality of the paper. Fortunately, there are many applications available that help to track and correct these errors instantly. Grammarly is one of the most popular and convenient applications. Installing the Grammarly plugin helps remove mistakes while writing. The figure below presents an example of the use of Grammarly for grammar and spell check while writing. It shows that the phrase, in the event that, is redundant and can be reduced to, if. Figure 5. Grammarly example 1 for this article. Academic writing is an organized and information-oriented work that requires a clear, concise, powerful, and graceful representation of ideas. Though often due to lack of practice or knowledge, writers tend to make mistakes. However, for impactful study, it is essential to empower yourself with knowledge, mix the sentence structure, and write to express, not impress. Research papers. To analyze means to break a topic or concept down into its parts in order to inspect and understand it, and to restructure those parts in a way that makes sense to you. In an analytical research paper, you do research to become an expert on a topic so that you can restructure and present the parts of the topic from your own perspective. For example, you could analyze the role of the mother in the ancient Egyptian family. You could break down that topic into its parts: the mother's duties in the family, social status, and expected role in the larger society, and research those parts in order to present your general perspective and conclusion about the mother's role. What is data analysis in research? Definition of research in data analysis. According to Lecomte and Schenzel, research data analysis is a process used by researchers to reduce data to a story and interpret it to derive insights. The data analysis process helps reduce a large chunk of data into smaller fragments, which makes sense. 3 essential things occur during the data analysis process. The first is data organization. Summarization and categorization together contribute to becoming the second known method used for data reduction. It helps find patterns and themes in the data for easy identification and linking. The third and last way is data analysis. Researchers do it in both top-down and bottom-up fashion. Data organization. On the other hand, Marshall and Rossman describe data analysis as a messy, ambiguous, and time-consuming but creative and fascinating process through which a mass of collected data is brought to order, structure and meaning. We can say that the data analysis and data interpretation is a process representing the application of deductive and inductive logic to the research and data analysis. Interpretation. Data analysis. Data. Why analyze data in research? Researchers rely heavily on data as they have a story to tell or research problems to solve. It starts with a question, and data is nothing but an answer to that question. But what if there is no question to ask? Well, it is possible to explore data even without a problem. We call it data mining, which often reveals some interesting patterns within the data that are worth exploring. Research problems. Irrelevant to the type of data researchers explore, their mission and audience's vision guide them to find the patterns to shape the story they want to tell. One of the essential things expected from researchers while analyzing data is to stay open and remain unbiased toward unexpected patterns, expressions, and results. Remember, sometimes, data analysis tells the most unforeseen yet exciting stories that were not expected when initiating data analysis. Therefore, rely on the data you have at hand and enjoy the journey of exploratory research. Preparing data for analysis. The first stage in research and data analysis is to make it for the analysis so that the nominal data can be converted into something meaningful. Data preparation consists of the below phases. Nominal data. Phase 1. Data validation. Data validation is done to understand if the collected data sample is per the preset standards, or it is a biased data sample again divided into 4 different stages. Fraud. To ensure an actual human being records each response to the survey or the questionnaire. Screening. To make sure each participant or respondent is selected or chosen in compliance with the research criteria. Procedure. To ensure ethical standards were maintained while collecting the data sample. Completeness. To ensure that the respondent has answered all the questions in an online survey. Else, the interviewer had asked all the questions devised in the questionnaire. Phase 2. Data editing. More often, an extensive research data sample comes loaded with errors. Respondents sometimes fill in some fields incorrectly or sometimes skip them accidentally. Data editing is a process wherein the researchers have to confirm that the provided data is free of such errors. They need to conduct necessary checks and outlier checks to edit the raw edit and make it ready for analysis. Phase 3. Data coding. Out of all 3, this is the most critical phase of data preparation associated with grouping and assigning values to the survey responses. If a survey is completed with a 1,000 sample size, the researcher will create an age bracket to distinguish the respondents based on their age. Thus, it becomes easier to analyze small data buckets rather than deal with the massive data pile. Writing a results section. The results section is where you report the findings of your study based upon the methodology or methodologies you applied to gather information. The results section should state the findings of the research arranged in a logical sequence without bias or interpretation. Where you report the findings of your study based upon the methodology for methodologies you applied to gather information. Key aspects for your research results section. For a good structure and organization of your research, keep in mind these aspects. Start your research results section by restating the purpose of your research, so that your readers can refocus on core of your academic article. 1. 2. Include helpful and quality tables, figures, graphs that can synthesize your research. Make sure you include details about your data analysis and interpretation as well as statistical significance tests. Report the statistical insignificant research findings for your academic article's credibility. Use the past tense when describing to your research results. Do not use vague terms and be as concise as possible when you are reporting your research findings. Conclude your section with a short paragraph that summarizes your study's key outcomes. When formulating the results section, it's important to remember that the results of a study do not prove anything. Findings can only confirm or reject the hypothesis underpinning your study. The page length of this section is set by the amount and types of data to be reported. Be concise. To present findings more effectively, use non-textual elements appropriately.